Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Tuesday, January 28th, 2025, and I need to talk to you about what's shaping up to be the coldest night of this entire winter season across the Greater Toronto Area. Environment Canada has issued an extreme cold warning that is currently in effect for the City of Toronto, all of Durham Region, York Region, Peel Region, and Halton Region, and we are looking at overnight lows that are going to challenge your resolve and test every heating system across this part of southern Ontario. The headline number you need to know right now is minus 28 degrees Celsius. That is the forecast low for tonight into Wednesday morning, and with wind chill factored in, we're talking about values that could drop to minus 35, or possibly touching minus 37 in some of the more exposed areas north of the city. This is not a typical January cold snap, where you bundle up a bit more and go about your business. This is the kind of cold that requires serious preparation and genuine respect for what these temperatures can do to human tissue, to your vehicle, to your home's infrastructure, and to anyone who finds themselves inadequately protected. Let me give you the full picture of what we're dealing with right now, because the Arctic air mass that has settled over southern Ontario is truly remarkable in its intensity and its geographic scope. As of 6 p.m. Eastern Time this evening, Toronto Pearson International Airport is already sitting at minus 18 degrees Celsius, with a wind chill of minus 27. And that temperature is going to continue its descent through the evening hours. The downtown core along the waterfront is slightly moderated by Lake Ontario's influence. We're seeing minus 16 there right now, but even that relative warmth is going to evaporate as we push deeper into the overnight period, when that lake effect becomes less pronounced. North of the city, places like Newmarket, Aurora and Richmond Hill are already at minus 20 degrees, with wind chills approaching minus 30. And these are the areas that are going to see the absolute coldest conditions because you don't have any water body moderation, you're dealing with slightly higher elevations, and you're more directly exposed to the northwesterly flow that's ushering this Arctic air directly from Hudson Bay down across the province. The wind is a critical component of tonight's dangerous conditions, and I want you to understand exactly what we're dealing with here, because it's not just about the raw temperature, it's about how that temperature interacts with the wind to create wind chill values that can cause frostbite in exposed skin in less than 10 minutes. We're currently seeing northwest winds sustained at 20 to 30 kilometres per hour across most of the GTA, with gusts reaching 35 to 40 kilometres per hour, particularly in more open areas and along the Lake Ontario shoreline, where there's less friction to slow that wind down. These aren't hurricane-force winds by any stretch, but when you're dealing with air temperatures that are already sitting at minus 20 or colder, even a moderate breeze becomes a significant danger multiplier. The wind is forecast to remain fairly steady through the overnight hours before gradually diminishing Wednesday morning as high pressure builds more directly overhead. Now let's talk about the timeline here, because understanding when conditions are at their worst is absolutely crucial for planning your activities and making sure you're taking appropriate precautions. We are currently in the cooling phase. Temperatures are going to continue dropping steadily through the evening hours, reaching their coldest point somewhere between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. That's when we hit that minus 28 mark in the official observations, potentially colder in rural areas and definitely colder in wind chill terms. Wednesday morning's commute is going to be brutal, and you're going to be dealing with temperatures that haven't been this low in the GTA since that cold snap we had back in January of 2024. The good news is that Wednesday afternoon will see some modest recovery, with temperatures climbing back to around minus 15 or minus 14, which is still well below the seasonal normal of minus 3 degrees, but at least represents some improvement from the overnight conditions. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, we get another round of very cold temperatures. We're looking at overnight lows around minus 22, with wind chills in the minus 30 range. Let me give you the regional breakdown, because not everyone across the GTA is going to experience this cold in exactly the same way. Starting with Toronto itself, the downtown core is going to be the warmest spot, relatively speaking, with overnight lows around minus 24 to minus 26, and wind chills minus 32 to minus 34. As you move into the inner suburbs, North York, Scarborough, Etobicoke, you're looking at minus 26 to minus 27, with wind chills minus 34 to minus 36. Durham region to the east, Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, you're in that same minus 26 to minus 28 range, maybe touching minus 29 in Uxbridge and the northern parts of the region. York region is going to see some of the coldest conditions. Markham, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, are looking at minus 27 to minus 28, while Newmarket, Aurora, and especially King Township could see minus 29. Peel region shows variation. Mississauga benefits from the lake influence with minus 25 to minus 26, but as you move inland to Brampton and particularly Caledon, you're back up to minus 27 to minus 28. Halton region follows a similar pattern. Burlington and Oakville, with lake moderation sitting around minus 25, while Milton sees minus 27 to minus 28. The bigger picture meteorological setup here is worth understanding, because this is a textbook Arctic outbreak driven by a very specific atmospheric configuration. What we have is a massive high-pressure system currently centred over northern Ontario and Quebec, drawing extremely cold air from the Arctic and funneling it southward across the province. The surface high is showing pressure readings above 1,040 millibars, creating a tight pressure gradient with lower pressure to our south and east, which is generating these northwest winds. We are locked into this Arctic flow for at least the next 36 to 48 hours before any meaningful moderation begins. Let's talk about what this means for your daily life, because extreme cold of this magnitude creates real operational challenges and genuine safety hazards. Starting with transportation, we're already seeing reports of vehicles failing to start across the region, and that problem is only going to intensify overnight. Battery performance drops dramatically in extreme cold, and a battery that might be marginal under normal conditions becomes completely inadequate at minus 28. If you absolutely must drive Wednesday morning, Archery start your vehicle earlier than you think you need to, and give it time to warm up properly. Roads are going to be treacherous because tyre rubber becomes harder and less pliable in extreme cold, which reduces traction even on bare pavement. Public transportation is going to face significant challenges as well. The TTC has already issued advisories about potential delays due to equipment issues. Switches that control track routing can freeze, doors on subway cars can malfunction, and bus engines can struggle. Go Transit may experience delays on rail lines if we see any track or signal problems related to the cold. If you're planning to rely on transit Wednesday morning, build in extra time and check for service alerts before you leave home. Frostbite at these temperatures with this wind is not a theoretical concern. It is a legitimate danger that can cause permanent tissue damage if you're not properly protected. Environment Canada's warning specifically notes that frostbite can develop on exposed skin in 5 to 10 minutes at wind chill values of minus 35 or colder. Your extremities are most vulnerable: fingers, toes, nose, ears, cheeks. If you must be outside, you need to be covered head to toe with insulated boots rated for extreme cold. Multiple layers on your core, including a windproof outer shell, insulated gloves or mittens, a hat that covers your ears, and a scarf or balaclava to protect your face. If you start to feel numbness or tingling in your extremities, that's the early warning sign of frostbite developing, and you need to get indoors immediately. Vulnerable populations are at extreme risk tonight. The City of Toronto has opened additional warming centres, specifically because of this extreme cold warning, and outreach teams are working to connect people who are unsheltered with indoor spaces. Hypothermia can develop quickly at these temperatures, even in people who are indoors if their heating is inadequate. If you encounter someone who appears to be in distress due to the cold, call 911 immediately. Your home infrastructure is also at risk tonight. Pipes are the primary concern, particularly any plumbing that runs through exterior walls or in unheated crawl spaces. If you have taps that you're concerned about, let them drip slightly overnight. Open cabinet doors under sinks to allow warm air to circulate around pipes in exterior walls. Keep your thermostat set to at least 15 degrees Celsius if you're going to be away from home. Furnaces are going to be working overtime tonight to maintain indoor temperatures, so pay attention to how yours is performing. The extended forecast shows this extreme cold is going to be with us for several more days, though with gradual moderation. Thursday, we're looking at a high of minus 9 degrees, with an overnight low around minus 15. Friday brings us up to minus 6, with overnight lows around minus 12. Saturday, February 1st, the forecast high is minus 2 degrees, with overnight lows around minus 8. Sunday continues that trend with a high of minus 1 and an overnight low around minus 7. Looking at the historical context here, minus 28 as an overnight low in Toronto is genuinely rare. The average temperature for January 28th in Toronto is a high of minus 2 and a low of minus 10. So we're talking about being 18 degrees below the normal overnight low. We haven't seen minus 28 or colder in the city core since January 2019. This is the kind of cold that people remember and becomes a reference point for future winters. Environment Canada's extreme cold warning remains in effect, and these warnings represent conditions that pose a serious health risk to the general population. Take these warnings seriously, follow the guidance from official sources, and don't assume that because you've experienced cold weather before that you're adequately prepared for conditions this extreme. I will be monitoring conditions throughout the night and into tomorrow with another update tomorrow evening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss critical updates. Share this forecast with friends and family across the GTA who need to know what's coming. Stay warm out there tonight, everyone. Bundle up, check on your neighbours, and let's all get through this safely together.